I can't hear it.
Jamaica has suffered one of its worst atrocities in its history by gangs. You know what? Let's jet into this story. Welcome to Jet. So first and foremost, before we get into why the government believed this act was nothing but an act of national terrorism, give thanks to Yahweh and Yahushua. Yes, man.
A curfew has been imposed in Cherry Tree Lane, 4 Paths, Clarendon. This after 8 people were shot and killed in the community Sunday night. Among the dead is a 7-year-old boy. The first incident happened at a bar where a birthday party was being held shortly after 9 p.m. According to reports, 3 men in a white Toyota motor car drove up and opened fire before fleeing the area. However, it did not end there. The gunmen drove to a nearby location where a group of people were playing bingo and opened fire at the group. 8 people were killed and several others wounded. Among the dead are Cavell Daly, 27, Diamond Bennett, 50, Aiden Bartley, 7, Errol Stewart, 68, Courtney Messam, and a woman identified only as Margaret.
I can't hear it.
The authorities have called a press conference to discuss what took place in Cherry Tree Lane. Watch this.
Honorable Prime Minister, Holiness, Deputy Prime Minister Horace Chang, other distinguished ladies and gentlemen, I regret to report a devastating incident that occurred in Clarendon on Sunday, August 11, 2024, about 8:45 p.m., resulting in the loss of 8 innocent lives and injuring 9 others. The attack carried out by armed men in motor vehicles targeting 2 gatherings, leaving a trail of destruction and chaos. Tragically, 1 child is among the deceased and another is among the injured. Preliminary investigation suggests that the attackers used high-powered firearms indiscriminately, firing on the gatherings. Our team are working tirelessly to identify the perpetrators and their motives. We have deployed additional resources to the affected area to maintain order, provide support to the victims' families, and ensure the community safety. There was a birthday celebration being held by a 31 years old bar owner of Cherry Tree Lane for her boyfriend, a 24-year-old mechanic of Cherry Tree Lane. Several persons from the community gathered at the celebration. Whilst at the location at First Lady's headquarters, a white Axio motor car, registration, number and letter not yet ascertained, drove up. 3 men alighted with rifle and handguns. The gunmen opened fire at the group of persons who ran in different directions. After the shooting ended, it was discovered that several persons were shot and injured. They were taken to the hospital, and at the end of the count, 8 died, including an 8-year-old boy, and 9 were injured, including a baby of 1 year and 8 months. The police is following a number of theories and line of inquiries At this time, I am unable to get into those details, but I guarantee you that we will ensure that the perpetrators are brought to justice. We are confident in the ability of the law enforcement agencies, and we are following some significant lead. This incident is so tragic, is a significant attack on, I consider, the state. We have imposed a curfew in the area, and we will be engaged in a lot of activities to ensure that those who are responsible are brought to justice.
This most brutal and reprehensible act by criminal gangs in central Clarendon is totally intolerant. It's designed to disrupt and terrorize an entire community. We will respond with the most severe action to disrupt the criminals and reassure the law-abiding citizens. Intelligence indicates inter-gang collaboration in these areas, and I have accepted recommendations from the security forces to have extensive areas of curfews across the central, southern Clarendon, south and northern St. Catherine, where gangs collaborate.
Good morning, everyone. It is indeed a sad day for all Jamaica. First, let me begin by extending my deepest condolences to the families and loved ones of those whose lives were brutally snuffed out in this dastardly incident. I feel the pain and share the distress of the families, the loved ones, the communities, and indeed the entire Jamaica. And I also pray for the recovery of those who were injured. I stand here today with firm resolve that everyone, and I mean everyone, who was in any way involved in this incident will be brought to justice. I want to make that absolutely clear. The incident is one which cannot be allowed to stand in any way, lest it become the normal routine of criminals. It is a criminal act. It is against our laws. It is an attack on the public order. But I want you to consider for a moment that it goes beyond the victims. It goes beyond the community in which it was perpetrated. It is an attack on every Jamaican. Intention was not only to spread terror in the local community. No, this act is designed to spread terror in the nation. This is an act of terror. So it can't be treated as ordinary criminality. And that is why we convened the National Security Council this morning. We know that persons overseas are involved and connected. We know that multiple gangs are connected and involved in this act. Every gang, every person who in any way facilitated, provided the arms, or were involved and pulled the trigger themselves, we will find you. and we will bring you to justice. So we cannot allow this incident to be treated merely as another criminal act. It is not merely a criminal act. Organized armed violence is an act of terror, and we must treat them as criminal terrorists. So the security forces have been given the direction. Operations are already underway from all levels. Intelligence, from the kinetic operations in the field, to seeking the support of our partners to get those who are overseas, who are facilitating and directing and funding the criminal operations here. No stone will be left unturned.
Good morning, Kimone Francis from The Gleaner. Prime Minister, in December 2022, you told the nation that a list was given to Washington of criminals. What are the fruits of that, or what have been the fruits?
Washington, where I met with the Department of Justice, and we have provided those lists, 31 names, I believe, and they are still under, well, I don't want to say too much, but the cooperation with our partners continue. And
next question.
Good morning, Alyssa Willis from The Observer. PM, just yesterday or today, we reported on the efforts as it relates to prosecution of individuals who facilitate the introduction of prohibited items behind bars, so the cellular phone devices. It was mentioned this morning that there was activity from behind bars linked to this particular incident. I just wanted to know, you did say that you would be addressing it at all levels, but as it relates to the participation of whether correctional officers or so on in getting these prohibited items into the hands of inmates, what will be the focus there?
well, there are two issues here. One is legislative. We made an amendment to the law, my recollection, I believe it would have been Minister Chang, if you could give us an explanation on that. I think we made an amendment to the legislation. There is a new legislation being drafted for the Corrections Act, which will incorporate the whole business of how contraband is treated with. But from an operational standpoint, as I've said, all dimensions of this incident is being reviewed. So the persons who pulled the trigger, to everyone who facilitated, to everyone who is presently hiding, and everyone who knows where they are and do not communicate it to us, you become implicated in the stream of facilitation of this crime. So let me take this opportunity, therefore, to ask the public for their cooperation. If you know anything, please tell us. If you have any information, even if you believe it's of no use, please let us know. And for those persons who may think that they are safe in hiding these persons who have committed the crimes, you are mistaken. Minister, you want to say something?
Yeah. The act was amended in 2021 to ensure that we can more severe penalties for those who breach the act and take banned goods into the prisons. Work is being done to strengthen various activity. In fact, we have just concluded a contract to introduce the camera system and more extensive system in the correctional system.
Leon from Television Jamaica. I'm not sure ACP Bailey will be able to speak to this in regards to DCP, sorry. In regards to whether or not, I know it's early days, a motive or the intended target has been established as yet. And also we tend to shy away from the term mass murder. Would you say this is in fact a mass murder?
If I may, I will answer the last question. We believe it's an act of terror. The Prime Minister made reference to criminal terrorism, and we believe that is an act of terror. We have established some motives We believe that it is gang-related, reprisal for the death of someone who was killed in Clarendon, but I don't want to get into too much detail.
Those persons who may want to take matters into their own hands, who may want to go out and on their own seek reprisals, if you do that, you then become of interest to us, and you are a part of the problem and not the solution. Leave these matters to the security forces to address.
Good morning, Natalie Campbell of IRFM. How much can the police say now about how many gangs were involved and which gangs, as if can you name them at this point?
280 gangs, active gangs. Over the last 2 years, we have eroded that down to about 250 gangs now.
Good morning, Prime Minister. Ricardo Brooks, Nationwide News. Hear you on the short-term operational measures that will be pursued. But over the long term, what has happened to the enhanced security measures bill that was supposed to be brought to Parliament? Has your administration abandoned that? And you've used the word terror and terrorism frequently this morning. Do you think it may be now time for you to codify in legislation that these people who commit these kinds of crimes should be labeled or designated domestic terrorists and give the security forces special powers to treat with them?
Grateful for those questions, Ricardo. Firstly, my response here is not short term, though it is immediate. This will be the operational and strategic stance of the JCF, the JDF, MOCA, and all our other intelligence modalities going forward. What I have declared here is a total assault on gangs in Jamaica. I want that to be clearly understood. Operationally, they must go after every gang in Jamaica. The gangs that have been identified as being directly responsible for this action are connected with other gangs. And so we must pull the thread to where it leads. So today, every gang leader should take with themselves. This morning, for example, Ricardo, someone sent me a note showing me what the president of El Salvador has done. And I was at pains to point out that Jamaica is not El Salvador. You would have seen the level of opposition that was brought to it. My own view is that if we had stuck with the strategies that had been in place, we would have moved not just from 400 gangs to 250. We would have been way down to probably less than 100 gangs now. Oh, I'm just updated by Minister Chang. We are now at 185 active gangs. After this, we intend to be way below that. So the security forces have now been given, after our National Security Council meeting, the directive, go after every single gang, erode them.
Morning, Tiffany Price from The Star. Prime Minister, last year, the government implemented more stricter policies for illegal ammunition and guns. Why do you believe that this is not, getting the intended deterrent effect?
My advice that I've been given as it relates to the impact of the new measures that we have put in place, including changing the law to have mandatory minimum sentences, is that it has been having an impact. It has been having a positive impact on the use of firearms. As journalists, you should do the research and pull back the statements that have been made against the stronger measures and see how those statements now stand up to the scrutiny of the families of the victims of these crimes. For too long, we have been speaking in favor of criminals and not in support of victims.
So, what is your view? Do you believe the government is doing enough to tackle the high levels of crime in Jamaica? Write your comments below, man, and let's have a discussion about this. For those of you who've forgotten to subscribe, please touch the like button, smash the subscribe button, and touch up the bell. And remember to share with your friends and family. So here we are going now. We are going to jet off,